taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. And today we are going to take a look at a battle in the New Orleans. Yes, we're on Land of Fire, and it has been a while since I've taken out the New Orleans. Basically just gave up on the US cruiser line and decided to focus my German line. That's when I sort of decided to, not play the New Orleans. Kept her around, though, because obviously I, do want to finish the line at some point in time. But this has been... this is the first battle that I've had in the New Orleans in a long time. Now, she's not fully upgraded. I believe that I have the range increase. I'm missing the hull and the final guns, I believe, is where I'm at with this ship. But I thought I'd take her out anyway, because I was playing some ships here and, cruising around in my Japanese cruisers, and just loving it, obviously, and then just thought, hey, what the hell? Let's take out the New Orleans and see what happens. This was a surprising match, because last time I took out the New Orleans, I just found it completely lackluster. I did not enjoy the ship whatsoever. Now, there have obviously been some changes to the game since the last time I took out the New Orleans. To put that into perspective, the last time I took out the New Orleans was before they made all of the changes to the aircraft carriers, right? Changing the loadouts, the fighters have that new barrage ability and all that stuff. So this was, last time I took her out was before all of those changes came into effect. Now, because all of those changes have come into effect, at least I've noticed that there are more aircraft carriers in every battle. So suddenly, it makes the US cruisers more viable, at least what my thinking, right? So I decided to take her out. So here we are, Land of Fire, cruising around. Now, I didn't have any expectations for this. I figured what would happen is I would probably get it to about mid-battle and then probably die, because I figured at that point in time I'd probably be too close to the enemy and they'd probably just focus me down. That's not what happens. Not what happens. So some of the surprising things that I found of the New Orleans while we're, jockeying around for position here, you'll notice I'm not going to C. At first, yeah, in the chat there, it did look like some people wanted us to go C and I was going to go support them, but you can clearly see that my team is capping A, and we've got some good ships around B, so no, I'm going to go B. Anyway, while that's taking place and unfolding here, I was surprised with the New Orleans in a number of ways. The first thing that I was surprised with was the hits that I was taking, and not the lack of damage that was being received, but it's just like, you'll see it later in the battle here, I get basically broadsided by a battleship. I wasn't in a good position, and I took a broadside from a battleship, and it didn't kill me. I was so surprised. I figured that was it. It was over. But, at least the New Orleans has more armor than the Japanese equivalent, right? More armor than that. So, yeah, it makes kind of sense. And a nice thing about the New Orleans here is she's a stubby ship, right? She's a little shorter than like your Japanese or your German cruisers at this tier. So it just makes her a smaller target to actually hit. It kind of works out. I am pretty impressed as well and surprised with the performance of the guns. Last time I took out the New Orleans, keeping in mind these are not the upgraded guns on her, but last time I took her out, I found the guns to be fairly awful. I didn't enjoy them. They didn't seem to have a good spread on them. They didn't seem to do that much damage when they hit. I don't know if it's, just because I didn't actually play the New Orleans enough and didn't, get good enough at her to fully exploit her or what. But I just found that things seem to be going better in this battle. Now, I do know that based on the last patch, they made some changes to some of the American penetration values, right? Specifically with the Montana. That is what I understand. I don't have a Montana myself. I understand that the Montana was fairly crappy. And since this patch, people have been talking and saying that, no, the Montana is actually viable once again, or at least that's what they're thinking. So maybe there was some other changes to the cruisers. I'm not 100% sure on that. I didn't look into it. So just going off what I'm noticing and what I'm sort of feeling from the ship here. But anyway, getting into the battle. Armor piercing's loaded up. I'm shooting off at a Mikkel who's giving me a nice broadside, hoping to get some nice citadels on this guy to take him out. So there goes my shots, and I got 2 citadels on that guy. Excellent. He's down to half health, trying to get away. You can see he's kind of angling away at this point in time, so not necessarily the best angle. The destroyer that was in front of me is now dead, so we don't need to worry about that guy. It's basically just the cruisers in the background at this point in time that I'm going to be focusing on. My team is still capping B. We did have some ships who went over there and capped C, so fantastic. And we still have a commanding, hold of A as well. We have an Thotgor off in the distance, again, giving me a nice broadside, so okay, alright, we're going to start shooting armor piercing at this guy. We do about 13,000 damage in that one hit. That was 3 citadel hits there, so fantastic. Not too shabby at all. If we can get another shot off at the Thotgor, then maybe we can switch over to the Mikkel, if the Mikkel continues to give us a nice angle to get some shots in on his sides. So we get a few more hits there on the Thotgor, and the Mikkel and the Thotgor are now on scene, right? They're in some smoke, so nothing I'm going to be able to do about that. There are some enemy battleships behind me. There's an enemy battleship ahead of me as well, so I'm going to start making use of the cover of this island here, at least to shelter me from the battleship that's in front of me, the Thotgor. We can see him there. And the turrets behind me is a little bit of a concern for me, but I'm, more or less giving him the stern of my ship, so not presenting a good, easy target for him to hit, so hoping that that's going to help out. We took a few shots off the Thotgor there. You can see some of them landed, did a bit of damage, but my other allies are also shooting at the Thotgor, and that's what attributed to the huge loss of health that you saw the Thotgor take. We also have another battleship here. We have a Colorado, I believe, and we're engaging this guy now because he's a fairly easy target. If I can just get some nice high explosive shots into him, maybe set this guy on fire, help out some of my allies down here, right? But again, keeping in mind the flow of the battle here, right? I'm not willing to go all the way over there to C and take myself out of position to be able to defend B. Because frankly, B is what I wanted to defend and what I wanted to focus on. Because I figure as long as we hold B, the chances of the enemy coming in and taking A and C simultaneously are very slim. So if we hold B, then I can react to whatever cap the enemy is attempting to take, right? So another enemy New Orleans off in the distance, so we do put some armor piercing into him, but that New Orleans is not dumb, right? He did turn, although got a little unlucky there, because he turned right into one of my battleships, salvos, and actually that New Orleans is gone. Yeah, he's done. So that's actually what I was surprised about when you'll see it later, I take a big salvo from the Thotgor. I think it was the Thotgor or the Tirpitz, but anyway, I was really surprised I didn't die, just like that New Orleans there. But anyway, firing at the Tirpitz now, right? Putting armor piercing into this guy. I was attempting to see what my armor piercing would do against a battleship, right? Because as you know, armor piercing on some ships does a whole crap ton of damage to your battleships. The downside to it is that you're not necessarily guaranteed to do the damage on every salvo with every type of ship. Like with my New Orleans here, I wouldn't be surprised if a few of the salvos went in, bounced off, and whatnot. And I mean, if you're not shooting high explosive, then you're not going to get the benefit of the fire damage. So it's really, I guess, up to the situation that you're presented with as to whether or not or what you are going to fire at the enemy there. So I went with armor piercing on the Tirpitz, but quickly switched back over to the enemy New Orleans, who's pushing into the A cap, and we're firing armor piercing at this guy, trying to get some citadels and to get him gone. There we can see the Thotgor once again. So alright, he's again just strafing in a straight line, giving us a nice broadside. So we put off some shots, but I really should have waited on that, because look, enemy Thotgor just grounded himself. Now this is where my mouth started watering, and I was thinking, oh yes, I'm going to kill this Thotgor. Island in front of me, right? I lose line of sight, and it's not going to come back. I'm not going to go chase down the Thotgor at this point in time, especially considering I have enemy ships basically in front of me that really need to be dealt with as well. So you can see I'm turning I'm turning with my Amagi, so that I can kind of sail along with the Amagi here, use his heavy fire support to help myself out a little here. So that's the plan. Now the enemies have almost taken A, and in fact they are about to take A. There they go, they now have A. But you can see as well the strategy that I was using earlier, right, of staying at B, because now the enemies do have A. B is fairly secure, and we still have C. So now it's just a matter of fighting it out over A, trying to take this A cap back. But it doesn't necessarily matter if we don't take the A cap back, because we already have B and C, right? So good situation we're finding ourselves in here. So I get the last few shots off at the enemy New Orleans, and he is now gone, or rather that player is now gone, so fantastic. We don't need to worry about the player anymore. We do still have some enemy battleships here to deal with. You can see the Tirpitz is still around as well, right? I've got another enemy battleship off to the port side that one of my ally, or rather my ally aircraft carriers is trying to deal with as well. And we do still have those cruisers in the background, right? I believe the Macau is still up and the Thotgor is still up as well. And the Nagato, during all of this, the Nagato is attempting to come over here to the west side, so we can't see him right now, but he will make an appearance later on. Continuing to put shots into the Tirpitz, right? Taking a look around, I noticed a bunch of planes coming up, and finally I'm going to get to use my defensive fire AA ability, so I'm so happy about that. Big salvo here coming in from the Tirpitz though, right? I managed to turn at the last minute and take a bit of damage, so I'm down to half health. So that was a bit of luck there. In the meantime, I'm shooting down all those enemy planes, so none of those enemy planes were able to make it back to their base. Obviously, not just me shooting it down, allied ships I have around, and my enemy or friendly aircraft carrier was all over that and had his fighters in there as well. Tirpitz is firing at me. I just put a salvo into the Tirpitz. There we go. That was the salvo there that I was so surprised it didn't die on, because I was basically giving him a nice broadside. So we finish off the Tirpitz and then the Nagato. So the Nagato also put a salvo into me, and again, very surprised I did not die. Now that the Tirpitz is gone, we can really focus down this Nagato, right? The enemies do still have a few battleships remaining, but if we can get this Nagato gone, that'll be great. Because I'm sure we're all aware at this point in time, Nagato is a really good battleship. There's not a whole lot wrong with a Nagato. I enjoy her anyway. So we're putting high explosive into the Nagato because at this range I wasn't going to try and experiment with the armor piercing. Doesn't matter anyway though, right? We have won. And I was so surprised, so surprised that I was actually able to pull these results, decent results, out of this battle and out of the ship. I didn't expect the New Orleans to perform like this, and I was actually pleasantly surprised to find out that she did perform like this. So, you know, maybe it's time to dust off the New Orleans a little more often, take her out, get her upgraded, and start working on that Baltimore. I have heard mixed reviews about the Baltimore, right? People who like it, people who don't like it. So the only way to get that solved is actually try her out myself. So we have moved into the next clip. You can see we're in the Edmund, yes, and we're on Big Race. So before we go too far into this specific battle, it's at this point in time in the video that I do want to address where I have been the past few days, right? Because we haven't had our normal daily uploads on the channel. I struggled with this one as to whether or not I would actually share it with you guys. And, you know, obviously there's the whole objection to it of, you know, you don't necessarily want to share personal things about yourself on the internet. Because for obvious reasons. So that's what I was struggling with, whether or not to actually share it with you guys. I decided that, yeah, I'll address it. I'm not going to go into specific detail because it's fairly personal, but needless to say, you guys know or may have recalled in, you know, when the channel first started up in videos in the past that I was a banker, right? I was a banker. I was a banker for about 5 years. Did various jobs, right? I have a business degree, so I thought I was so lucky when I graduated university, get into a bank. Fantastic job, I thought. And go from there, right? So I did that for 5 years, and it damn near killed me. The stress of doing that job is unbelievable. I had no idea what stress was, or well, thought I knew what stress was until I got to that point. It was awful, awful. Essentially, I mean, there was a whole lot of other aspects involved there. One being that I was way overqualified for my position. I knew more about the industry than my managers. But anyway. The biggest issue that I had with the job was the sales component, right? You have to do sales. Banking nowadays, at least in Canada, is sales. That's what it is, sales. They will hire anyone off the street as long as you have a clean criminal record and a good credit bureau report, right? Because obviously, if you have bad credit, you shouldn't be giving financial advice to other people. So, I can pass that stuff no problem because I'm not a criminal and I'm not a retard with money. Anyway, did that, and in banking, in my position, you had to do 5 sales a day, for example, right? You have to sell 5 different things to one person each day. And so I met with probably about 5 or 6 people a day. So from those 5 or 6 people, I need 5 units each. So it's about 30 units a day in sales that I have to do. If I don't do the 30 units in sale, what will happen is that any units that I missed will then carry over to the next day. And then suddenly the next day, you have to do 30 for that day plus any you missed the previous day. And that keeps snowballing out of control. And it was crazy. Now, on top of all this, it's a bank. Bank wants to make money, obviously. Any company wants to make money, makes sense to me. The way they went about it, though, was at the end of each quarter, your sales goals would then increase. Yes. So you struggle to make your original sales goals, and you do it, and you make it. And actually, I made it, and I was top of the branch in that quarter. And for a number of quarters, and I couldn't believe it. I was, oh my god, I did it. It was so fucking hard. Like, we stressed out so much. I'm sure I have gray hairs, and we did it. And I couldn't believe it. But then the next quarter rolls around, and the bank comes around and says, no, your overall goal for the quarter is increased by 30%, and what that attributes to is like 5 more units a day. And that went on for 5 years. It got to the point where, I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it. It was the stress. It was too much, so I had to leave. Anyway, I left banking probably last year. Yeah, probably about a year. And for a year, I've been out of work. And recently, now that stress is all gone and I'm back to normal, basically, looking for jobs. So that's where I've been these past 3 days. Is I've been out, pounding the pavement, looking for jobs. I haven't had the time to come in and do the video for the day. And sometimes I do, but maybe the job search that day didn't go so well, so I'm not really feeling the video. And I'd rather put up a video when I'm excited and have energy, and you can feel the energy in my voice. I'd rather do it then and maybe not put up a video every day than try and get a video up every day and just be completely monotone, for example, right? So that is where I have been. Obviously, there's more to it than that, but I just don't want to go into that much detail because the whole internet thing, right? But that's where I've been. It's... God. Anyway. We're in the Edmund. And we're on big race. Like I say, half the battle is already over, but whatever. I went into the Edmund and it was playing this battle because I hadn't been playing ships for a few days, and it seemed as though when I got into ships, the game kind of was weird and wonky. Maybe some of my settings were changed and I didn't understand, so I thought I'd take out the Edmund just to test her out, just to see, and I was recording it just to see what the recording would produce, whether it would be all jaggy, all pixelated, need to buffer and stuff. But I had made the right moves on getting the settings correct, and this battle turned out well, so that's why I was in the Edmund. But as you know, I enjoy the Edmund, mostly because of the historical value of the ship and not necessarily because of the ship itself and how she performs in game, although I do find the Edmund performs fairly well for a tier 2 cruiser. You can see I'm fighting it out with St. Louis. Now, what is saving me here is that the St. Louis isn't actually focused on me, right? I have an ally behind me that the St. Louis is shooting at, so this gives me the opportunity to just start pumping shells into the St. Louis here. So obviously we've got high explosive loaded, and I'm just pumping away at the St. Louis here, trying to set her on fire, trying to get this player gone, right? If we can get this St. Louis gone, it'll be a good thing for our team. Not only is the St. Louis, capping our base right now, not doing a good job, obviously, and there he goes, but the St. Louis is a fairly, awesome ship and a big contender here in this tier of battle. St. Louis is gone, though. We don't have to worry about him. Up pops this destroyer, Japanese destroyer, Umikaze, tier 2. What is he doing? Why is he in reverse? What's his angle here, right? I have no idea. So we're pumping away fire at him, right? He's on fire, or not on fire. His engines are gone. There's no way he's going to be able to save himself now. So this player, no idea what this player was thinking. Maybe he was trying to reverse to get some sneaky torpedoes off at me, right? We did see some torpedoes in the water, but I have no idea. His mistake, and we are going to punish this player for the mistake, right? And this is the nice thing I like about the Edmund, now very similar to the St. Louis, and usually most of the cruisers at this tier, is just the rapid firing cannons on the ships, right? The cannons are of lower caliber, they don't necessarily do as much damage, but they are rapid firing. You can really rain shells on your enemies, right? And that's exactly what I'm doing here with this Umikaze. Almost gone. There he goes. Fantastic. Done. Dealt with. So taking a look around, we do have some other enemy ships who have made their way closer to us, right? We've got this enemy cruiser that we're going to have to start dealing with. The enemies, though, only have 3 ships remaining, so that is pretty damn good. But if we can get this guy gone, I believe it's an Albany. So this was nice because I like the fact that I can face off against an Albany in my Edmund and show the Albany captain that the Edmund is better. Just better. I sold my Albany. Yeah. I got it, obviously, way back when they're giving it away. Put in the promo code in the premium shop, you get it. I got it, I sold it. No, I think I played 1 battle in it, then I sold it, and I used it for a port slot. That is how much I valued the Albany, for the port slot. Yeah, I'm not one of those people in this game. Not that there's anything wrong with it, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm not one of those people who needs to collect all the ships. No. I only keep the ships around that I want, and that I use. If I don't use them, and if they're just sitting in port gathering dust, I don't need it. Just like my Arkansas Beta. Yeah, I sold the Arkansas Beta. It is gone. I know, big mistake, according to a lot of people, but whatever. I'm happy with it. Doesn't matter. Battle is over. Battle is over. We have won. 3 kills. 147,000 credits. I finished top of the team overall, so that is pretty great. And in the Edmund, I did a bit of damage there, so that is not too shabby at all. I was fairly happy with this battle. Anyway, that is today's video. Thank you guys for sticking around, watching it through. Hopefully I made some sort of sense as to why I haven't been doing daily uploads. Obviously, I'm making every effort to do daily uploads, and when I have the time, they'll definitely come up. So as always, leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to those. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you were not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.